Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first official podcast episode of the Smith and Snap Sports Podcast. We're still coming up with a name. That might be something we ask you guys in the future. We are here on an unseasonably warm day in November in Logan, Utah. Yet, I'm nursing what is looking to be a pretty solid cold coming into the next week. Kimball, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Loving the warm weather. Excited to be here. We've been talking about this for some time, so excited to get into it.
Yeah, so shout out to all the people. I've had multiple people over the last year tell me that we should be doing this, and a few this past weekend. So we don't have a whole lot of homework this weekend. We decided this was the week to get it going. Big week in sports, Kimball. Big week in sports.
What a week, and what a week it will be.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. So let's hop into it. First, a word from our sponsors. Just kidding, we don't have any sponsors yet, but we're gonna be working on that. So where do we want to start off, Kimball? Let's start in the national stuff around the country. How about?
Yeah, we've got some fun stuff. Boise State going down last night. Can't say that was on my bingo card. What are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it and I'm laughing at it because I think it's hilarious that Hawaii Pacific, a Division II team, goes into Boise, Idaho, into like a Boise team that's supposed to be pretty good this year, and beats them first game of the year. That was nuts. Led by, I mean, I don't know if they were led by, but should be noted that former Utah high school basketball player of the year, Quentin Meza, who played at Cypress High School in Magna, is on that team. And so shout out to him, man. That's awesome.
There you go. They don't care if they're playing up divisions or up in elevation. They just might go all the way this year.
They might just go all the way. D2 champs, baby, or D3 or whatever we're looking at. It's definitely not going to be Westminster, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, crazy stuff though. I think Boise will be fine. You know, I think it's a tune-up game. Sometimes this crap happens.
Yeah, still an embarrassing that you just cannot
embarrassing.
Lose that
They're not
game.
gonna. The Spectrum's gonna be going nuts on them when they come to town for that.
We'll have plenty of smoke on them for that one, but yeah, I think overall, I don't think it'll affect them too much. If anything, it'll be a good wake up call to get them ready.
Oh yeah, big stuff. Now, granted, I mean, and we won't spend too much longer on this, but Boise has UVU coming up. And it is a home game, but if they lose that, things could get interesting.
UVU's good.
Really
UVU
fast.
Really good this year.
Yeah.
I would not sleep on UVU. They are going to be a contender.
I mean,
conference.
Now that Grand Canyon's out of the whack, like it feels like it's UVU's year to win that conference. Like they have to. If they want to go to the NCAA tournament anytime in the next 10 years, they have to win it now.
They are my favorite to win their conference and make their first NCAA tournament appearance.
Oh, yeah. I think I'd agree with you on that. All right, let's get to Texas football. Big story here. Kimball is a Texas Longhorns fan in conjunction with BYU and Utah State. He's got 3 teams to give him a lot of stress. I can only handle one. That's why I have the New York Yankees for baseball. They've been doing that to me all season. But Kimball, get us started on Texas. What are we looking at? Big win over Vanderbilt last Saturday.
Yeah, they looked really good against Vanderbilt. They looked like the national championship team that they were supposed to be all along. But it might be a little too late for them. They've got a gauntlet left, playing number 5 Georgia, number 3 Texas A&M, in addition to a rivalry game against Arkansas. So, I mean, they're in a spot to make the playoffs, but as much as it hurts, I think one more loss will knock them out, and I expect them to get at least one more loss.
Oh, 100%. Now, listen, it's going to get interesting for Texas because, you know, we're watching the Vandy game on Saturday, right? Mm-hmm. Trevor is just sleeping through it. Our buddy Trevor literally missed 3 quarters of the season where Texas actually looked like a good football team.
Best 3 quarters of the year so far.
Yeah, seriously. But the way Arch Manning's played the last 2 games, like, is he starting to finally figure this out, Kimball?
He might be. Honestly, like, he's looked really good. If he plays like he did against Vanderbilt, I'd pick him to beat these teams left on their schedule. I just don't think he's going to be consistent enough. But he's got the potential. He's just not producing that for all 60 minutes of each game.
Okay, see, that's where I disagree a little bit. they've got a bye week this week, so good to rest up. And then they immediately go into Athens, Georgia, to play at Georgia. And I think any way you slice it, I think that's a loss. I mean, Kirby Smart's team's not as good as they've been in the past, but they're still good. And Gunnar Stockton, he can ball out. So I think they lose that game. However, I mean, and you know how I feel about hot takes, Kimball, but like Arkansas, I think they should beat pretty easily. I honestly think they might beat A&M. The more I think about that game, I don't trust Texas A&M to finish a season undefeated.
Say A&M is the little brother of Texas, so I would agree that they've got a good chance, especially in Austin this year.
Yeah, no, that's definitely if it's a game in Austin where Arch plays the way he's played the past couple of weeks, like 100%, I think Texas wins that game. But I don't know, man. A&M's good this year. They've got a good receiving core. They've got an amazing offensive line this year, and so
yeah, they're legit.
Yeah, no, for sure they are. For sure they are. So it'll be that'll be like a rivalry week game. Day after Thanksgiving, 5:30 p.m. ABC prime time.
That is going to be the game of the week.
You know that's going to be a good one. Unfortunately, it won't be College Game Day because it's on a Friday. Maybe they go to it, but we'll see. All right, Kimball, let's hop in to the Utah State Westminster basketball game last night. You were at that game. You had a pretty good seat, I hear.
Yeah, we were right there at the front.
What are your thoughts on what Utah State just did last night?
I mean, take everything we say here with a grain of salt. It's Westminster, very small school, not great team, but
hey, shout out to Colin though, my elementary school buddy. He's on that team. So
hey, and Jake Nadald from my high school, he was on that team.
He balled out last night. He had a pretty good game last night. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
But we looked phenomenal. Utah State looked really good.
Oh, yeah.
Our new transfers look really good. It seems like we have kind of found answers to the problems we were seeing last year with our centers and our three-point shooting percentage.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So, obviously, again, it's Westminster. I guess you can't say it's a guaranteed win. We saw what Boise did, but this is a Utah State team that I think is going to be better than where we were last year.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I agree. Now, there's a couple names here I want Utah State fans to learn if maybe you're a little more casual or you weren't able to catch the game last night. So we're going to go through a couple of these guys, all right? But MJ Collins is the first guy we got to talk about. 23 points last night.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, adds 4 rebounds to that, and then he shoots, get these numbers, 81.8% from the field, 71% from three-point. It's insane.
That is just unheard of.
I don't care who you're playing, if it's a D2 team, if you're consistently hitting shots like that, he's going to be dangerous. He's going to be a solid replacement for Ian Martinez. Might even be better, honestly.
Yeah, he definitely led the team very well. Another name to shout out was Colby King, number 7. Yeah. He had a great game as well.
16 points off the bench.
He looked incredible.
Cow. Yeah, no, he was nuts last night. Yeah, dang, I didn't realize I actually missed that part because he's at the very bottom of the box score here on ESPN. Mm-hmm. That's nuts. I didn't realize. Yeah, 60% from the field, 57 from three-point is absurd.
Yeah,
it's absurd.
He's not a starter, but against Westminster, he played almost the whole game. It felt like.
Oh, 100%.
But I think we will be seeing a lot more of him than people originally thought. So get to know his name as well.
Yeah, and then a couple more guys. Let's talk about Gary Clark. He's the third transfer and probably the last transfer we really want to touch on here. 12 points, 75% from the field. What's nuts about him? 11 rebounds. Kimball, is Utah State's rebounding problem answered? Because that was something the Herd was pulling its hair out about last year.
Yeah,
they cannot rebound to save their lives.
Yeah, we got pushed around in the paint last year, but I mean, if I had to take a guess right now, I don't think that'll be as big of a problem. I could still see that being a problem.
Yeah,
but
we
seem to have a lot more athleticism in our big men this year.
Yeah, and that's that kind of you lead in perfectly to who I want to talk about next, and that's Adlon Elliman.
I was just about to talk
freshman.
about He was phenomenal.
12 points last night. He only shoots 33% from the field and 28% from three-point. Hit all of his free throws, though. So pretty pedestrian numbers from the field. Not great. However, dude, it has been a while since I've seen a center move like that. That guy is athletic.
He floats. I mean, he's 6'9", 185 pounds. So maybe we can get some more meat on him. But
yeah, seriously.
That he's quick. Like he can move around the floor, and we saw his vision. He tried to throw it down a couple times. Got fouled for most of those, but I think we'll be seeing some fun plays from him this year.
Well, yeah, there were a couple there where they were handing it off to him at the high post, right? And it's kind of like, hey, I don't know how I feel about a big man shooting like this. And when you expect him to shoot, he goes behind his back and just drives the lane. Truly playing off the wing like, a point guard would. But he's 6'9", and so he can terrorize you down low. Yeah. And then last guy I want to bring up really quick, true freshman Elijah Perryman as well. 10 points. 8 assists, so almost had a double-double in his own right. 80% from the field, 66% from three-point land. And I remember one of our friends was talking to me about this. I don't know if you were there, but she was at the exhibitions, and she was saying, look out for this Perryman guy. He's going to be really good. And I didn't really believe her. I was kind of like, okay, exhibition, you play Seattle, you play San Francisco, good teams, respectively, but, for sure. We'll see how this kid actually does. And, again, like you said, a grain of salt, it is Westminster. Mm-hmm. So you kind of got to, you got to pump the brakes a little bit. But I thought he looked really good, too.
Yeah. Now the whole team seemed to be firing on all cylinders.
They were clicking for sure. And then one last thing I just want to bring up, and then we'll move on from Utah State into BYU basketball. Obviously, they play 11 guys last night, right?
Yeah.
And that's not going to be sustainable for an entire season. And you often see coaches do this where in non-con play, they play pretty much their whole rotation if they can. Not to mention Zach Keller, another big man for Utah State, was out with an ankle injury last night, and he's not redshirted. So he will play too. They're probably going to work this thing down to 8 guys, I'd imagine, come conference time. Who do you think, just looking at this box score here, who do you think they cut from the rotation? Because I have 2 guys that I think probably aren't going to play as many minutes going forward, but I want to see who you think those 2 guys are, or 3 guys.
I don't know, honestly. It's kind of tough to say. We're all big Jordy Barnes fans, but he wasn't scoring as much as some of these other guys, and just being so undersized, it's hard to really kind of keep him in with as many minutes as we'd all like to see him get. But I don't know, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, so that's where I was gonna start. I love Jordy Barnes, man. He is such a fun player to watch play. I think he's got really good court vision. He executes the game really well. He is what you want in a point guard. He doesn't. He had a great night last night. Let's shout that out. Jordy Barnes standards, 7 points is awesome.
Yeah.
3 assists as well. Solid shooting. With Elijah Perryman and how good he's looked, they play the same position. I don't think we're going to see Jordy Barnes as much. Mm-hmm. And we can talk about it later in the year. I think that might lead to maybe him transferring out after this season. But we'll see. We love Jordy Barnes over here. And then the other one was Luke Kearney. Big man, played 14 minutes, didn't put up any points, 2 rebounds. Really didn't get the opportunity to shoot much either, though. So, he didn't really get as many touches. He was just kind of out there setting screens and, doing what he was supposed to do, obviously. And I really like Luke Kearney, too. I met him in the Taco Bell parking lot a couple months ago, and, dude is hilarious. He is a funny guy. So I'm hoping he gets more, I'm hoping he gets more touches as the season goes on.
Yeah, we'd love to see that.
But, yeah, I don't know. So I'm thinking those 2 and then probably Keller just because we haven't seen him yet. But we'll see going forward. We can kind of put a pin in Utah State.
Yeah, we've got some time. That's the nice thing is we've got some time to really figure out our lineup before conference play.
Yeah, so VCU next Friday, neutral game in Frisco, Texas. Honestly, not too worried about that.
Yeah,
VCU just lost former Utah State coach Ryan Odom, actually. He got hired at the Virginia job, but yeah, we'll see how that team is. Never count out VCU. They've always they're like Utah State. They're always there, They're always sniffing at it. But we'll see what happens. Let's go on to BYU basketball here because there are some things I want to talk about with BYU. So the much-anticipated BYU AJ Dybantsa era begins last night in Las Vegas to the tune of a 71-66 BYU Cougar win. It was kind of a tale of two halves with the Cougs last night. 42-32 lead in the first half. I'll be honest to the folks listening out there. I didn't have time to watch or listen to the first half because I was at work, and so I was listening to the Utah State game because I know where my priorities are at. I'll always take my school first.
Those Aggies come first.
Those Aggies come first here, but I did listen to the second half, and it was rough, to say the least. So,
yeah, not the performance you'd expect considering
No.
the roster BYU has this year, who arguably one of the, if not the best roster in the country. Obviously, it's a lot of new pieces coming together, and we saw kind of a slow start with BYU, like in their football team, a lot of new pieces. But I'm not too worried about BYU. I think they'll find their rhythm. They had a great game against North Carolina in the exhibition. So I think they'll find their steam. Not a great performance against Villanova, but I'm not too worried about it.
Not great. What I do want to mention for BYU here is 39% from the field, 29% from three-point, and only 66% from the free throw line. So pretty poor shooting for BYU. They got the win, though. And listening to this game, what I'll tell you, man, is Villanova had multiple chances to score and put this game away and take one from BYU, right? That they weren't supposed to get. I think Villanova will be good this year. I think they'll be a tournament team, honestly. Just hired Maryland's coach, Kevin Willard, but they weren't supposed to win this game. And it showed in the last, I think it was 6 minutes, they didn't have a single field goal down the stretch of the game. Yeah. It was only free throws.
It's not a winnable recipe.
No. So you're not going to win games when that happens. Let's talk about AJ Dybantsa, though, because dude balled out and came up clutch when he was supposed to for BYU. 21 points, 6 rebounds, shot 50% from the field, made his one three-pointer that he took. Was pretty abysmal from the free throw line, honestly, but 21 points from AJ Dybantsa, that's kind of what you expect from that guy. How do you feel about that, Kimball?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good performance. He's clearly a leader on the team. Honestly, I think that's a great way to start first game. Playing in the Marriott Center, you want to see a high-scoring game like that, so I think he did what he needed to do. Didn't necessarily do anything more than what he needed to do, but did what he's been asked and was expected.
100%. And I will remind everyone that this game was actually in Vegas last night. Neutral court game. But no, I agree. They come to the Marriott Center. They come back to the Marriott Center.
Hey, they'll be there.
They've got Holy Cross next. And they've got, after Holy Cross, they've got another tune-up game against, I'm just pulling up the schedule here, Delaware. Mm-hmm. Much respect to both of those teams, right? I mean, we love the religious schools here at the podcast. And
big fans.
Delaware is just, Delaware's Delaware, man. I did my 5th grade state report on Delaware, so got some love for the Blue Hens as well.
And hey, my favorite basketball player in the country is Kebaketa. And he had some fun highlights, like usual, but he had, I don't know if you saw it, but he had a swat where he hit it at the top of the arc of the shot and just sent it into the next state. And so he's a fun player to watch. I'm excited to see some new highlights from him. Just an absolute animal on the court.
100%. So BYU, their first real test, November the 15th. So not this Saturday, but the next, 5 p.m. on Fox in Boston, Massachusetts. The homecoming game of AJ Dybantsa, and they've got the number 4 UConn Huskies. Which, can we give a round of applause really quick? Can we give a quick clap to Kevin Young for scheduling what he scheduled? Let's give him a round of applause.
What a game.
We enjoy coaches here at the podcast, and I know I speak for Kimball and myself on this. When I say we enjoy coaches who have good teams, who schedule other good teams, right? Because you don't want to see, just a barnstorming tour from the top teams in the country. You want to see them have competition and early on.
Yeah, it's like BYU could schedule a bunch of patsies and walk into the tournament as a 1 seed. But there's nothing impressive about that. If they go in and they beat UConn, we've got Wisconsin on the schedule as well. That's another ranked
team in Salt Lake City. Yep.
And the Big 12 itself is the best basketball conference in the country.
Yeah.
And it's like
100%.
If BYU's going to walk in as a 1 seed, they're going to walk in as a 1 seed where you're saying they're going to go all the way.
Oh, 100%, yeah. No, I would definitely, I'm not a BYU fan. Let's just get that out of the way. I do enjoy BYU. And I'll always cheer for them over the University of Utah. So you guys don't have to worry about that. But, yeah, I mean, like, I'd love to see them. I think if I were a diehard BYU fan, I would rather have, like, a 3 seed that's battle-tested, right? That's had some of these games where maybe they've lost close games, but they come in with a lot more experience than just, like, West Coast Bible College or whatever, which we will actually talk about later in the show. Didn't think our first podcast was going to include West Coast Bible College, but and I don't think Kimball knows where I'm going with that, but I think he's starting to get an idea here. Anyway, let's move on. The head of the show, BYU Texas Tech football. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come right back. Again, we don't have sponsors, so it'll just be a quick pause. So no, your AirPods aren't dying. It's just us needing to catch our breath. All right, Smith and Snap Sports Podcast, back at it again. Smith Snap Podcast, whatever you want. We're still coming up with a name, so don't take us too seriously. But seriously enough that you're going to listen to this whole episode. Love you, Grandma, by the way. I know she's listening right now. Anyone you want to shout out, Kimball, before we get into this next segment?
Oh, I know my dad's going to be listening, so we'll give him a nice shout out. Michael Snap down there in Springville.
Shout out to Michael Snap of Springville, Utah, a first time and one of our inaugural listeners. Shout out to the boys as well. You always got to shout out the boys. But they don't compare to Michael Snap from Springville, Utah. Elite ball knowledge if he's listening to this podcast. Anyway, speaking of Springville, Utah, there's a team that plays a little bit up the road in Provo, Utah. The Brigham Young Cougars, currently undefeated, ranked number 8 in the country, and they are going into Texas Tech this week.
Game of the week.
Now, Kimball, you're a diehard BYU fan, so I'm going to let you kick this off. Where do you want to go with this?
All right. I mean, we'll see how the rankings change as the playoff rankings come out later tonight.
Oh, that's tonight, isn't it?
Yep, but as it stands right now in the AP poll, BYU 8, Texas Tech 9, the first ever top 10 matchup for BYU in school history.
Yeah, what those SEC teams are doing every week, BYU's doing for the first time. And I mean, hey, listen, there might be some BYU haters listening to this podcast, especially if you're at Utah State. We understand it comes with the territory. But here at the Smith and Snap Sports Podcast, we love BYU top 10 matchups. We are so happy for BYU and the season they're having, right? Oh my gosh, it's going to be a good one.
Here's the thing. BYU undefeated, Texas Tech with a loss. BYU ranked higher than Tech, but still come in as a 10.5-point underdog. And I got to say, I mean, I don't agree with a 10.5-point spread, but I do agree with us being underdogs.
I agree with the underdog. I agree with the underdog for sure. Yeah, the 10.5-point spread, I saw that. And I was like, okay, maybe I got to go against, like, stuff I believe here and just start, like, betting BYU so we can get this line down, because I think that's disrespectful to the Cougs.
Yeah, BYU has not lost a game by more than 7 in almost 3 years. Early on in the 2023 season was the last time that happened to Iowa State, actually.
Yeah.
In Provo.
Wow. Yeah, BYU's on a reign of dominance right now. They really are. They're good. A lot better than I thought they were going to be this year with the whole, everything that happened in the spring and this quarterback coming in who was only there, he came in late. They've been dogs, though. So let's go into some team stats here. I've got these pulled up, and then we'll go into some player stats because I know you've got, like, more of the player stats pulled up, if I'm correct, right, Kimball?
Yeah.
Okay, so like you said, first game, both teams ranked top 10. Let's go. Kimball, I'm going to pique the interest of some of our listeners here, and I think there's a very obvious answer to this question, but is this the biggest football game BYU has ever played in its history?
I would say it's got to be top 2 or 3. I think the only games you could put above this would be our national championship game against Michigan and, like, maybe one of the Holiday Bowls. But, like, I don't know. Like, this is their, like, depending on how the rest of the season goes, I think you could very well say this is the biggest BYU football game of all time.
Okay, yeah. So I think it's top 5. There's a lot on the line for this game. There really is, in terms of the Big 12 race, in terms of the playoff race. I would say the biggest BYU game of all time that I've heard about, like, a million times at least, and maybe it's just because I grew up with my dad, and, he rushed the field and everything. BYU Miami in 1990, Detmer's Heisman game. Yep. That's all it took. It was just one game. You beat, those smug Hurricanes from South Beach, and you send them back. So I would say that's number 1 probably in my book.
But BYU was not ranked top 10 in that game.
They were not. They are ranked top 10 in this, and their opponent are too. And so, anyway, sorry, that was a little bit of a divot. So I want to get into some team stats here. Let's start with passing offense, okay? And this is according to the NCAA's official website. Tech, 13th best passing offense in the country. Now, BYU is a little lower, that 83rd. So they're in the bottom half of the NCAA in that stat. However,
which is interesting because, I mean, Texas Tech only has about 60 more passing yards this season.
Yeah, and so it's a very thin line when it comes to, like, yards per game, and I think it factors in touchdowns too, and kind of how many interceptions you've thrown, everything like that. Right? I'm not sure the exact metric for that stat. Now, this stat is interesting. We're talking about passing defense here, right? And here's where I'm not worried for the Cougars. Tech is tied 36th, so they're pretty good. Top 30, or not 30, top 50, like, in anything, in any team category of that matter, any year is going to be really good, right? You got a top 50 anything, any statistic, like, you're cruising, you're doing pretty well. BYU has the 28th best passing defense in the country, and they only allow 188.9 yards per game.
Yeah.
So I'm not actually super worried about BYU's pass defense in this game. Baron Morton's playing quarterback for Texas Tech. He's been a dog. I would say he's maybe been a little less notable than their backup, Will Hammond, who tore his ACL, unfortunately.
Sad to see.
Shout out to Will Hammond, man, member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We love seeing members of the church ball out. And yes, if you're listening to the podcast in some random reach of the country, Kimball and I are members of that church, and you're thinking, like, oh, these guys are Mormons, you can click out now if you want to. We prefer that you didn't, because we think we've got some pretty good ball knowledge over here at the SSP, as it's coming to be abbreviated. But again, that will change in the future. We'll come up with something more catchy. Kimball, what do you think about those stats, though? Let's break down the passing game here really quick, and then we'll go into the run game.
I mean, the way I know BYU's not ranked as high, but I don't see... I mean, Tech has a phenomenal wide receiver group, like, phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
They paid a pretty penny for these guys.
Oh, yeah.
But BYU's got the best singular wide receiver in the conference of Chase Roberts, and I give the quarterback nod to Bear Bachmeier. I think he's better.
I would too.
And here's what I like is LJ Martin is back for this game.
Mm-hmm.
Bear is not going to have to run it as much because the scary thing is Texas Tech has some dogs on their linebacking unit. They have some monsters with some just unheard of stats. Like their leading sacks is their linebacker Bailey. He's got 11.5 sacks. BYU's leader is Jack Kelly with 5. Not even 50% of what he's got. So Tech has a scary defense, but BYU's got the best running back and wide receiver in the conference. And so I think it's going to be a close game. I don't see either team winning by more than 3 to 7 points. I just really don't.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to get into the rushing offense really quick. So Tech, they have the 24th best rushing offense in the country. So I think Cameron Dickey is his name, running back for Texas Tech. He can run the ball. They run for about 198 yards per game. So, they're putting up pretty solid stats there. BYU, however, 15th best rushing offense in the country. The top 15. They're running for 216.6 yards per game as a team. LJ Martin's back. I think it's going to be... I think people are expecting a shootout through the air. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a shootout on the ground a little bit more, right?
Yeah, and that's... If BYU is going to win this game, two things need to happen. One, turnovers. Mm-hmm. If BYU turns the ball over a single time, that just might be enough to seal the deal.
Yeah.
The only reason, we'll get into this later, but Utah's looked phenomenal, but they never really were in that game just because anytime they started to get close, they'd throw a pick or they'd muff a punt. And so if BYU can play clean like Bear has in almost every game with 0 turnovers, and we're able to force some turnovers on Tech, I think that is going to be crucial for BYU winning. The second thing is Texas Tech is ranked 89th in the country on clock management.
Oh, wow.
Granted, they score fast, but in their loss against Arizona State, that was a major problem. Yeah. And so if BYU is able to establish a dominant run game and just milk the clock, Tech is going to have to... They're going to be lost. They're not going to be able to come back from that.
Yeah. And I want to bring up this next stat. If you're a BYU fan here, you might get pretty freaking nervous after you hear this stat. Kind of an immovable object meets an unstoppable force game because Texas Tech,
bring it on,
number 1 rushing defense in the country. They are the best at stopping the run. Now BYU's 43rd. Tech allows 74 rushing yards per game. Kimball, 74.
Yeah, that's horrifying, and that is the reason why I think it's gonna be really hard for BYU to win this game.
Yeah.
They're going to have to play basically a perfect game.
Yeah, 100%. Now, granted, listen, BYU's not that bad. They're still a top 50 rush defense, and they held Utah to, I don't really remember their rushing attack being as good in that game. And I know you were there. The typical Wayshawn Parker and Corey Rogers duo, they didn't move the ball against BYU super well. And Utah... 3rd best rushing offense in the country. Utah has the best rushing offense in the country of a school that is not a military academy.
Yeah, Dampier was able to get some good scrambling yards on BYU, but from their fullbacks and halfbacks, there just wasn't really much progression there.
And so, I think BYU has the ability here to really hold a top 25 Texas Tech rushing offense. And, hopefully they can get past Texas Tech on defense. Like you brought it up earlier, I think the key factor in this one is Bear Bachmeier needs to avoid turnovers. He has to, because if he goes out there early and he throws a pick, it's going to get ugly, and I think it's going to it has the potential to get ugly really fast, right?
Yeah. It's this game could very well get away from BYU. If I had to make a score prediction, I'm thinking it's in the 20s for both teams. I think low scoring. I give the nod to Texas Tech. I think they win 27-24.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be 30-24 for Tech. I just don't see a world where BYU wins this game, unfortunately. I think
it's definitely possible.
It's possible, but I don't.
It just seems a little too good to be true.
I don't think it happens. Exactly. Well, we spent a good solid 12 minutes on that. If your ears aren't bleeding yet, please consider giving the podcast a follow wherever you listen, whether that's Spotify, subscribe on YouTube. I'm sure I'll get it up there as well. I've got some cool technology things to do here in the next couple of days to get this thing out. But we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about a couple of other football teams in the state, as well as some more college basketball stuff. So we'll be right back. All right, we are back for the third and final leg, if you will, of the inaugural podcast episode. Hope you guys have a drink and a snack to get us through the home stretch here. Let's go with Utah really quick. Utah football, they're looking good. They've been absolutely boat racing opponents at home right now. I just had a huge win against Cincinnati on game day. What do you think, Kimball? Does that team have any life left for the college football playoff?
Yeah, I would say so. They've looked really good. They've got themselves back in the rankings. I'm expecting a favorable spot from the committee tonight.
Oh, 100%.
And they've got a very favorable schedule the rest of the way. No more ranked opponents. Honestly, I would expect Utah to probably win out.
They should.
But
They should.
The only problem is they've got the lost tiebreakers to the two leading teams in the conference. And I don't know if... I just don't know if the committee would put in a 10-2 Utah over, say, a 9-3 SEC team. And so I think
100%.
If Utah really wants to get in, they've got to make the conference championship. If they make it and play it close, I could see them getting in. If they make it and win, obviously they're in. But they're going to need some help from BYU and Texas Tech. Specifically, they need BYU to win on Saturday.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, I was going to mention that too. Utah doesn't control their fate anymore. Their schedule, upcoming schedule, so you guys can get a look at this. At Baylor, 5-4 versus Kansas State, 4-5. At Kansas, 5-4. So, kind of the definition of mid.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we've seen so-called mid teams beat really good teams with aspirations for something bigger, a la Kansas against BYU last year.
Yeah, they'll get you.
Hate to bring that back up, but I could see them losing that game. It's at Kansas, but yeah, I agree. If you're a Utah fan, man, you better be hoping that BYU wins on Saturday so that you're back in that tiebreaker with Texas Tech. Now, I don't know how that's going to go because, you still don't have the tiebreaker. I'm expecting. Now, if a 9-3 SEC team gets in, we ride at dawn. Like, we're not. I think we made it very clear last year. We're not going to stand for that.
Absolutely.
You lost 3 games. We're not going to stand for that.
Not one bit.
Not one bit. However, there's also a lot of teams in the ACC that still have one loss, which we can talk about next time. That is a very interesting conference race, actually. But yeah, no, Utah no longer controls their fate. We'll see what happens to them. Shout out to our Utah buddy, Zach Bates. Much love. Anyway, let's go in. Utah, they won a basketball game last night against a pretty bad San Jose State team. Kick off the Alex Jensen era. Not much more to say on that. Good job, Utes. I was looking at their schedule. I think they're going to be really good out of conference. I think the Big 12 schedule will get them. I think it's probably another year till they're back in NCAA tournament contention. But they could be a bubble team this year if everything pans out right.
Yeah.
And I do think they will beat BYU once this season just because it
know
is a
about that.
rivalry
We'll
game.
see.
I don't know, man.
We'll see.
Hey, they won in Salt Lake last year.
We'll see what happens.
Granted, it was the only game they filled the stands, but like, hey, shout out to Utah. Shout out to the Huntsman Center, man. They've been struggling for a while in basketball. Real quick, also want to just make a mention. Weber State last night, because it is a school of the state, and there's some alum who are probably listening, so we want to mention it.
Love Weber State.
They beat West Coast Bible College 130-38. 92-point win last night. Holy crap, dude. I saw that and I took the glasses off, did the whole comical, you wipe your glasses and you put them back on thing that you see in movies. I couldn't believe it. 92-point win.
That's just, I don't understand how you can let that happen.
I don't think Weber's probably going to be much of anything this year, most likely, but they're in a pretty tough Big Sky. They could be.
140 points in a single game.
Just say you beat a team by 90.
You can shoot.
You beat a team by 92 points, and West Coast Bible College doesn't have it any easier. They go down and play at UVU tonight, so shout out Wolverines. And then I wanted to make a quick mention of the Utah Tech basketball game last night and bring up just a couple of stats here as it pertains to Kimball and I. So Kimball and I, we served our mission in New York City, and we had an AP named Chance Trujillo. Super awesome guy, fun exchanges, amazing missionary. Dude balled the frick out for Utah Tech last night. Get this, Kimball. They win 81-79 against South Dakota in overtime. So, decent team, I think. They're normally pretty solid. Trujillo leads the team, 17 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. He had a great game last night, man. He had a really good game. So
we love to see the schools in Utah go out there and get some wins.
Yeah, and people we personally have known and talked to. So if he's listening or anyone he knows is listening, shout out Trujillo, man. We're happy for you, and hey, man, I know it's early, but if you're thinking about transferring up a level next year, Utah State will have you, man. Anyway, let's get into really closing this out, something that pertains to all Aggies everywhere. We couldn't let it be a podcast without talking about Utah State football. What are our bowl chances like, Kimball? What are we looking at here? Are we in terminal mode, or do we still have some life left in us?
All right, we need 2 more wins. We've got Nevada coming into Logan this Saturday. Not worried about that game.
No,
I
no
think
way.
our offense just has too much firepower. Should get a win there. So we need 1 win outside of that game against either UNLV, Fresno State, and Boise State. A gauntlet, but all 3 have Achilles heels, and we have seen those heels.
Yeah. So I want to bring up some Utah State stats. I know we're running low on time, and we're in a study room that we kind of reserved at the last minute here in the library. So we're going to try to just pump through this as quick as possible, and if we get interrupted, we get interrupted. But Utah State's got an amazing offense. 42nd best passing offense in the country, 63rd best rushing offense.
They're really good.
They can hang with anyone on offense, man. They can hang with anybody.
They've got a Power 4 offense.
Oh, 100%. We'll get into what brings their offense down here in a minute, but let's talk about the defense, because if we have a Power 4 offense, we have got a high school JV defense, man. There's 134 teams in the FBS this year, with the additions of Missouri State and Delaware. It's where Utah State ranks. 117th best passing defense, 116th best rushing defense. And when you're lower on these things in like passing yards allowed, rushing yards allowed, it means you're doing really bad.
Yeah, not good.
Not good. And we've seen it. We saw it at Hawaii. We saw it at New Mexico. Like, just hard to watch, dude. Just hard to watch. Now, Nevada won't be a problem. What brings this offense down is they're tied 130th in sacks allowed and 113th in penalties per game as a team. That 130 is bad, dude.
Yeah.
Like, there's only, I think it's Auburn, Troy, and South Carolina. They allow more sacks than us. Those are the only 3 teams in the country that are worse on the offensive line than we are this year. And so...
yeah. We lose the battle in the trenches on both sides of the ball.
100%.
But I don't think that'll stop us from getting to a bowl game. I do see us going.
I agree.
I think Barnes and Davis are just too good and willing to injure themselves too much to let us lose those last 3 games.
100%. I agree. So, if I had to look at it, I think we beat Nevada this week pretty easily. I don't think we beat UNLV. It's on their home turf. And listen, man, we talked about going to that one because we thought it was going to be a great game. Honestly, if push comes to shove and, probably not going to that game, honestly. Just can't swing it that week. But after that, it's at Fresno State. Shout out Dallin Knudsen, friend of the podcast, big Fresno State fan. They just drubbed Boise State this week.
Yeah. That Boise game, that's going to be a fun one at Maverick Stadium. That will hopefully not be the game that decides whether or not we go bowling.
It might be, though.
But I genuinely think that's a game we can win.
I do, too.
They've got our number, but...
bad time to be a Boise fan right now, man.
Bad time to be a Boise fan.
Maddox Madsen injured. According to Coach Spencer Danielson in the Idaho Statesman, he'll be out for a while from what it looked like. He's been nursing an ankle all year. Boise's got... they've got an okay defense. 17th best passing defense in the country. So they can defend the pass super well.
I originally picked Utah State to go 7-5 this year. Definitely going to be a stretch, but it's still possible. I think it's just as likely as going 5-7 is, but I do think we'll end 6-6.
I agree. And Boise State, last quick little mention we'll make before we wrap this thing up: 86th rushing defense. So I think the takeaway for the Boise game is just run the ball down Boise's throat. Just get Miles Davis, Javen Jacobs involved, and I think we'll be okay there. Anything else before we wrap up, Kimball? Any shout-outs you want to make? Any personal stories, anecdotes, jokes?
No.
All right. Well, that's the first episode. Thank you for taking about 45 minutes of your day to listen to us. We appreciate it. Again, if this will be on Spotify, so you can like it there. We'll put the audio up on YouTube, and don't worry about that, Kimball. I can take care of all that. Subscribe there. Share it with your friends. Share it with their friends. Have your grandma share it with her bridge club. For Kimball Snap, I'm Noah Smith. This has been the unnamed, but we're currently referring to as the Smith Snap Sports Podcast. Remember to stay safe out there and enjoy the week of college sports.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.